Providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherry Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning, Middle Georgia. Randy and Sherry Goss here with the fabulous CT, who will answer the phone if you call us at 478-742-0940. Happy Saturday. If you're it's pretty cold out. If you're having trouble hearing us on your radio, you can always go to your computer and go to WMAC-AM.com and listen live. So, tell them where you were last night and what you were doing.
Oh, great. I was at the Fire and Ice Preview Show, which is put on by the Macon Art Alliance, and it's on Clinton Street, which is over near the Coliseum Hospital, Mill Hill area, and it's a fantastic event. And the artists that are there, I think there's like 30-something artists, and it's all pottery, handmade. It is just, the stuff there was just beautiful, really, really nice. So,
and it's from all over the Southeast, right? These people come, or is it Georgia?
This one is more of a local artist.
Okay.
But the work they're putting out is just fantastic. But the Fire and Ice event goes on from today, starting today, through the 17th of this month, and it goes from 10 o'clock until 5 o'clock every day. So if you're looking
even Sunday? I think so.
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
So people need to they can go to Macon Arts Alliance
and look at it. That's right. You can just Google Fire and Ice, and it will come up. It'll tell you exactly where it's at and the hours and stuff like that. But what you can buy there, you can get great Christmas gifts if you're looking for something unique for someone.
Like ornaments and things?
Not just ornaments, but I
you can tell I didn't go. I was home in my recliner under a blanket.
She was not feeling well last night. But I ended up buying some ceramic Christmas trees, which are really pretty cool. There a lot of they were very ornate, and I liked it. They're just gorgeous. But if you're looking for something unique to give someone, this is a great place to go. There was an artist there that makes flatware, like plates and bowls and things like that, and just beautiful work. So if you're looking for something unique, beautiful.
Was Lin Ting there?
Yes.
Oh, she was?
Yin Ting and Brian were both there. Yin Ting.
So did she have any cats?
She did. She had another bowl there. It looks just like a little cat, and did not like the one you bought. Hers was a bowl with the little ears on it. Really cute stuff. So if y'all like to get out and come down there, it'd be great to support these artists in Macon and support the Macon Art Alliance. And, if you're looking for something to do, if you like art stuff, consider becoming a member of the Macon Art Alliance, because if you do go there and buy something, you'll get 10% off.
And so First Friday, you really should go out. If you've never been to a First Friday, it is so fun. And if you park near Poplar and First Street and start out at Macon Arts Alliance, we help sponsor the food and drinks on First Fridays because we want people to come out and just, it's fun. Just come out. You get to meet the artists. You get to see the work. I think they have a sale coming up of Christmas.
They do right now.
Stuff.
There's some beautiful handmade ornaments that they have for sale right now. Some blown glass, some ceramic ones. They're really nice. And a couple of years ago, I stocked up on the blown glass ones, and we got them all over our Christmas tree. But the nice thing about the Macon Art Alliance is they have the artists that roll through there every month. There's a different artist that they put in the gallery.
And you get to meet them.
That's
what I like.
And but in the front of the Macon Art Alliance is a gallery that has stuff on sale all the time. Everything from turned wooden bowls to earrings and scarves, handmade scarves, to art for the wall.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Nice stuff.
So that's really fun. And so coming up, mark your calendar if you want to come out on November 29th, downtown Macon. Brian Nichols has been putting all the lights on all the trees down Poplar Street. And I guess it'll go down 3rd Street Lane again like it did last year. It's about 8 blocks worth of Christmas lights. And on the 29th, the Macon Pops will be singing live downtown. So they'll be doing a concert, and that will be the lighting of the Christmas trees on Poplar Street. And so if you want to come out and make a real night of it, make a reservation at a restaurant because it's going to be packed. There will be lines to try to get.
I think this will be the 3rd year they've done it, and it's becoming a destination for people to go to during the holiday season.
The traffic And from the whole time the lights are on, the traffic is nonstop downtown. The businesses are booming. And now you have Kudzu Seafood has expanded. You got My Pie Pizza. You've got way more restaurants. Lazy Susan, Tapas Bar is getting ready to open up on 2nd Street. Making beer looks like it's about ready to be open. It might already be open. You won't, if you haven't been downtown in a year, you won't believe the change of the construction. Yeah.
You know, Poplar Street's becoming the new Cherry Street is what everyone keeps saying. And it's so you're getting stuff, a lot of venues, a lot of attractions away from Cherry Street. So it's a great time to just come out and walk around with your family, you know, date night.
There
whatever.
are boutiques even open on First Friday. So if you start at Macon Arts Alliance on the corner of Poplar and First, and then you walk down the hill to Ware on First Street, which is a consignment shop. If you have clothes, you're cleaning out your closet, drop them off there, look at the racks. I mean, there's some good deals there. And then you go to 567 Center, which also has art showing and artists there, and we help sponsor the food and drinks there on First Friday. And then turn the corner and go down Cherry Street to Travis Jean. She has artists and food and wine to get people to come out, and she's in a boutique. And then there are a few new boutiques around her for clothing.
Right, and you can walk on around the corner on 3rd Street and go to the Mark West Gallery. And
Kirk West.
And but it's really expanding downtown. It's really, really nice. And on the Christmas lights, everything is set to music. So they got these giant speakers set, you know, on the light poles, and so it's just a really, really nice time to get your kids out and go do something, and it's absolutely free.
Yep, it's really good. So more really good news. So Georgia Trend magazine, I get because I belong to the Macon Chamber, and it comes with as part of the membership, which is really nice. And there was a great article this month about the ports in Savannah, and so they have compounded annual growth for 10 years and maintained their spot as the fastest growing port in America. They grew 7.5% this past fiscal year, and for 10 years it's been an average of 6.5% year-over-year growth at the port. The Port of Savannah bested its previous record with 4.5 million 20-foot equivalent container units, or TEUs, moved in 2019. Savannah is the busiest terminal in the country. And then you have the Port of Brunswick, that's mostly auto, truck, and tractor imports and exports. They increased their cargo by 4%. And then you have the Brunswick East River Terminal, and they are an American Marine Services operator. They move 1.2 million tons of bulk cargo. And so primarily wood pellets, peanut pellets, which is so cool that they're using something that used to be trash and turning it into fuel.
I had not ever heard of that.
Yeah, very, very cool. And perlite, that's mainly what goes out of that port. But
the cool thing with this, the Port Authority, is that they have a 10-year forecast and a 10-year plan that they look at, and they build and expand based on that. And so they had good vision for decades now. And you know, it took not just the Port Authority, but the Georgia government, the governor, and everybody to be involved in this. But it really is doing a wonderful job stimulating the Georgia economy across the entire state.
So over the past 3 years, the port grew rail volume by 35%. And what they're trying to do is grow rail volume more than truck volume to keep the trucks from clogging up the highways. Last year, they broke ground on a $215 million Mason Mega Rail project, which, when completed next year, should increase rail capacity to 1 million container lifts per year. And that's really just in the Savannah area. They have a longer range plan that I haven't looked lately to see what the deal on that is, to have rail that goes all the way up, loops through Chicago and back, because they are picking up business from the entire eastern seaboard because they're deepening the port. It's all about the deepening of the port, which the farthest out port is already deepened to the level it's supposed to be, and now they're working on deepening closer inland. And so they can bring in these huge ships, and the container, the cost of shipping now is like 20 to 40% cheaper out of Savannah, which is why they're attracting all of this, because of the deepening of the port. And they started doing this when the Panama Canal started deepening. And so they had the foresight to see where this was headed and to do something about it, and now they're benefiting, and the entire state is benefiting from all this traffic. Now, traffic on the roads is pretty rough. We were driving home from the gym the other night, getting on I-75 off of Watson Boulevard, and man, was that something. The amount of truck traffic is crazy, because this brings with it all these distribution centers, because we're right in the zone between the busiest port in America and the busiest airport. We're like right in the middle of all of it, so there's more opportunity than ever. There's more jobs in this career field in distribution centers than ever. I don't even know where they're finding people to run all this stuff.
They're bringing them in. But, it's kind of cool, though, that Savannah is now the third largest or busiest terminal in the country. Just amazing. Thanks for the good foresight.
Yep. So the U.S. collected a record $7 billion in tariffs in September. Let me see. As new duties kicked in on apparel, tools, electronics, and other consumer goods from China. Tariff revenue jumped 9% from August and was up more than 59% from a year earlier. And so, yes, it's causing some prices to go up. I haven't felt it in anything that we buy. Gas is still cheap. Inflation is low. Interest rates are low. And so I don't think the average person is being affected by it. But I have one client whose business is being affected by this because she's more related to the shipping industry. But I met with a client last week who's in the electrical business, and he said that they noticed a little price hike in the very beginning for components, but they said it's leveled out. And so they're not noticing their business is booming.
Yeah, I bought a lathe for the wood shop, and I had to pay a couple $100 more because I bought it right at the same time the tariffs kicked in. So, but that's the only thing I've noticed a change in.
So anyways, I really would like to see this phase one of the trade deal happen in December. They talk like it's going to happen. I hope it happens. We can't tell. The only thing I've heard about it is they're going to buy more of our agricultural products. And then we are trying to get some financial companies into China, and they're going to buy our oil and liquefied natural gas, which I thought they were already doing our liquefied natural gas. So I don't understand that. But it's like a 6-year deal of how much energy they're going to buy from us, and I just can't tell. But
the good news is that it looks like they're making progress, and they're going to be hopefully before Christmas have some more details finalized on that thing. So.
And then we have new tariffs that we imposed on the European Union last month. In the 12 months through September, the U.S. brought in more than $70 billion in tariffs, according to the Treasury Department. Anyways, it's going to be... And then the intellectual property theft. That's part of the phase one of China stopping our patent infringement, which is a big deal. So if your business is being affected, I'd really love to hear from you. To explain to us on a local level what you're experiencing, because I'm not hearing it anywhere. In fact, I just went through a Small Business Development Council Grow Smart class, 6 weeks long, every Wednesday, analyzing your business, and not one person in the room was being affected by it. Everybody's businesses were up. In fact, the only problem they were having is trying to find people they could hire who would want to work.
Well, that may be the saving grace, in this war, this tariff war right now, is that the trade war is that our economy is hitting on all cylinders. So their business is up, offsetting maybe the little bit of tariff taxes they're having to pay. So anyway, who knows? It's just we're in a good spot right now.
But in the news of the trade deal coming together, the market has been up the last week because everybody wants that off the table. The risk off is what we want. So what's next?
All right. Let's talk about ExxonMobil. They have partnered with a company called Fuel Cell Energy, and it's to capture
and as disclosure, we do have ExxonMobil in our portfolio.
Oh, yeah. Okay. ExxonMobil and Fuel Cell Energy, Inc. said today that they've signed a new 2-year expanded joint development agreement to further enhance carbon fuel cell technology for the purpose of capturing carbon dioxide from industrial facilities. And I think this is fantastic, but I think it also goes to prove that the government doesn't need to try to
tax
carbon because the free market, if left to run, will take care of these things. It's an issue. It is an issue.
But I think the threat of the carbon tax has driven people to figure out a solution. And so they don't want to be taxed. It's just like, leave us alone. We got this.
Yeah, it's a social issue out there. I get it. And a lot of times it's the social issues that drive innovation. So the agreement's worth up to $60 million and will focus efforts on optimizing the core technology, the overall process, integration, and large-scale development of carbon capture. And they're exploring options to conduct a pilot test of next-generation fuel carbon cell at its operating site. And the beauty in what they're doing with this new fuel cell, old fuel cell technology consumed a lot of energy to run them. And this one actually creates energy through the process. So
while they're capturing the
carbon. So it's a fantastic.
That's way beyond my pay grade.
It is mine too. But you know, if we're so worried about carbon and everything, we should not create another government agency, because we're going to have to kill a gazillion trees just to have the paperwork to go support that. So,
right.
I mean, yeah. So then they'll have to start taxing themselves based on the paperwork.
So they're talking about taking on large-scale industrial facilities such as refineries and chemical plants,
right,
and being able to capture the carbon and create energy while they're doing it. But what I understand is once you capture the carbon, you can turn that carbon into other things.
Right. I mean, you can actually use it in 3D printers.
Right.
Because we watched a speaker one time that was actually saying my shoes were just made out of carbon. Printer. Yeah, made out of 3D printer. But the nice thing is once they perfect this, and they can deploy it to nations that don't have strong environmental codes like we do, or standards.
So it says Exxon has a working interest in approximately 1/5 of the world's total carbon capture capacity and has captured about 7 million tons per year of carbon dioxide. They have captured more carbon dioxide than any other company. That's very, very progressive, very interesting.
Thank you.
There's always smart people out there figuring out our problems.
All right.
Next.
Why don't you talk about
Baby Shark do 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 Baby Shark do do. So we were out in Colorado when our grandbaby was about a year old, and every time he would get fussy, our daughter would do the Baby Shark song. And you take your hands and you make your hand do like a jaws opening and shut, and you sing Baby Shark do do do, Mama Shark do 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 do, Daddy Shark do, and he would smile. He would stop fussing and he would smile. It didn't matter what was going on. She could sing that song, and he loved it. And he loves the little hand movement that goes along with it. I don't know if he sings it with her now, with his hands. I haven't seen that. I should ask her.
I'm sure he's getting to that point.
Yeah, he's almost 2. But anyway, so guess what? That song was created by a family in, South Korea, right?
I think it was South Korea.
Why am I not finding this here? Anyways, 3.8 billion views on YouTube. It was practically the anthem for this year's World Series, with tens of thousands of Washington Nationals fans clapping in unison and belting out Baby Shark do-do-do-do-do. The family...
It was for a Korean family.
Yeah, they own some companies, and they created this song, which is now worth the family is now worth $125 million because of this song.
Don't tell Elizabeth Warren.
Well, they're safe. They're in South Korea, so they're not going to get whacked by her. But they said one of the Nationals outfielder, Gerardo Pera, began using it as his walk-up music in June, leading the crowd to singing along, and they rode the wave all the way to the championship. It's just very fun. Last year, the startup's revenue jumped 47% to $34 million. The song has amassed more than 3.8 billion views on YouTube, and this year reached the Billboard Hot 100 chart. There's also a concert experience for children, Baby Shark Live.
Oh, my gosh.
Go figure.
Wow.
Anyways, this is these people created something out of their own brain. They threw it out on the internet. Everybody loves it. And so they've made a bunch of money, because if you have a YouTube channel that people are clicking on, you sell advertising, because YouTube notices, wow, there's some value here, so let's put an ad on the side.
Right.
And so you start making money. What's wrong with that?
And plus, since it's patented, they'll start getting royalties off of anybody else that uses it.
Yes.
So a national ballpark that has 30,000 people in it, and they're all singing it. How do you capture that?
I don't have a clue. All I know is it's good for them. Good for them making millions of dollars that'll
That's right.
make wealth for generations.
That's right.
Off of a song.
And they have other businesses, so it'll help them further that and employ more people. So this is cool. Let's talk about a little bit about a survey scam. Okay.
So this all came about because you're getting all these Trump surveys. You get one about every other week, and I throw them in the trash when they come in, and you can't tell who it really comes from.
Right.
And so I want to warn people, when you get these surveys in the mail that say that they're from Donald Trump or they're from this or they're from that, I throw them in the trash can. I never fill them out, because not only are they wanting you to just give your opinion of what you think about things that are happening in the government, they also want your name, your address, your phone number. They want your credit card number because they want you to give a donation. There is no way I would ever write my credit card number on a survey that came in the mail that I can't really tell who it came from. And I even went on the internet and looked it up, and I couldn't tell.
Right.
Because when you search it, they have an online survey that says that it is from the Republican Party, but I wouldn't fill that out either.
Yeah.
I don't trust anything anymore. I don't believe you could make anything look like anything and
That's
have
right.
a fake site and somebody just siphoning money off your credit card.
Spoofing is so prevalent, and that's just basically faking that you're a legitimate site. And it is so prevalent that they have literally shut down legitimate sites because they can't compete with them. It is that bad. So, but this internet, I mean,
so that's why I started looking at this.
Right. So avoid survey scams, and we'll just kind of breeze through this thing here. You may get a phone call at home. It starts out innocently enough and asks you to take part in a brief survey. Hey, you're wanting to help, right? So you play along. So later you find out the personal information you gave out during this phony survey can be used against you by a scammer. So just consider this. A caller receives a call and asks them to participate in a survey. You agree, and the caller is asked for the names of the magazines that she's received. And the next week she received a call from a pretend magazine publisher telling her that her subscription to one of the magazines was about to expire. Now, this is one of the magazines that she said she reads on a regular basis. Amy, this person in this article here, spotted the scam because she knew she had paid for the magazine through the end of the year. And it turns out the surveyor who called her the week before was just running the magazine scam on her. Now, another guy filled out a short online survey with his name, phone number, email address, birth date, and consumer product preferences. A few months later, he found unauthorized charges on his phone bill for products he'd never ordered.
That one I'd never heard of.
Yeah, and this is called cramming. And it turns out that the survey from a few months earlier, he didn't realize that. Sorry, I lost my spot here. It turns out the survey from a few months earlier didn't really want Bill's retail shopping preferences. Rather, the goal was to get Bill's personal information so the scammer could cram his phone bill with unauthorized charges.
I didn't even know that was possible.
It is, and it's big. By giving out this private information, he fell victim to telephone cramming scheme. And
so here's my favorite one.
Okay,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
You had more to say?
Nope.
So the surveyor asked the consumer where he banks because they're just asking all these general questions. And so he tells them where he banks. Well, 2 months later, he gets a call from somebody who says they're from his bank, that there's a fraudulent charge on his bank account, and asks for his account number to verify it and stop the fraud, to verify he is who he is. And this is somebody calling you saying they're from your bank. Do not trust that. Do not trust anybody calling you. Do not do surveys. Do not talk to these people. And for sure, if somebody from Social Security calls, hang up because it's a scam.
The IRS, Microsoft, if they call you, it's all a scam. But look, here's the deal. If you put your number on the do not call registry, you think you're protected, right?
They don't
It doesn't
care.
work that way, but especially if these guys are operating from outside the country.
Right.
But there is a loophole in the do not call regulation. If you're conducting actual research, you do not have to apply by the federal do not call list. Okay? However, these people will start out the phone call by saying, hey, would you like to help us with some research? We're conducting a survey.
To cover themselves.
And then later in the telephone call, they start putting on a high-pressure sales pitch, or they're just collecting your information. So any of these people that call you and want you to participate in any kind of a survey, just hang the phone up. Don't even try to be polite about it. I mean, they're scammers. They want your information.
So it says a reputable survey will never ask for your Social Security number, money, password, or bank account information. Don't do it. Don't fill them out. Don't talk to them. Like you said, just shut it down.
And if you have not registered your phone number for the Do Not Call registry, go to donotcall.gov. And just put your number or numbers in there that you don't want.
Cell phone and everything.
It's everything. But the big thing is you have to be on your guard all the time. You have to know who you're dealing with. Don't rely on your caller ID because with VoIP technology, the computer programs are so simple they can make it look like they're calling from your next door neighbor's house.
Right.
It is really easy for them to do that. Do not divulge personal information. And as soon as you start feeling uncomfortable in any conversation, just end the call. So I just gave a briefing the other day at the Exchange Club, and it was amazing the stories that I was getting back, from the audience that was exactly like this. They were getting scammed or scams, phone calls and emails and
they're targeted.
Land mail. Absolutely.
Based on your age, you are a target.
Because, you know, it's these guys that go out there and hack, and you hear all the time about all the personal data that was stolen. What they're doing is they're creating a database of your personal information. It's called PII, personally identifiable information. And it is just a snapshot of all of you. It's got your name, your address, your spouse's name, your mother's maiden name,
where you were born,
all this information. And once they have a complete profile, they can sell it on the dark web. The 2017 price for, it's the latest one I could find, for one person, one bit of, one profile is $1. Okay, so you figure, $1, that's not very much, but you figure they're stealing billions a year, and billions of individual PII a year. So they're making good money on this. It's a big business for them. And then these people that buy that information are turning around and individually targeting you, like spear phishing. So they're not throwing a giant net out there. Many of them are, but they are picking one fish out of the pond and going after that fish. And that's how they get your information. And they can make it sound so real and so compelling that you need to donate your money.
And if you make the mistake of you get a letter that says that you've inherited money from some relative you didn't know existed in Europe, and all of a sudden there's this millions of dollars that is going to be coming your way, but you have to send in a check for $50 for processing fee, which is total crap. If you make the mistake of sending that money in, your information is now going to be sold all over the world.
That's right.
Because you are so easy to scam.
That's right.
You do anything, a lottery, you think you could win the lottery, you want a Publishers Clearinghouse, all of it. Stop. Don't do any of it. Don't get your information out anywhere, because any piece that you do, your information is going to be sold all over the place, and you're going to just be a target.
Yep. Sherry, it's halfway through the show. Why don't you tell everyone who we are, why we're here, and what we can do for them.
So we're Randy and Sherry Goss. Steve Rosenberg is typically here. He's out today taking a break. And we are with Rosenberg Financial Group. We are fee-based money managers, and we manage our clients' assets with an eye toward avoiding losses, because we talk all the time about how losses can hurt you more than gains can help you, which you may have experienced that in 2007 and 2008. So you know what I'm talking about. We have a great website, retirerelax.com, with lots of special reports. There's one that I was going to highlight today. Should I leave my money when I retire? Should I keep my retirement plan where it is, or should I roll it into an IRA? If you're getting close to retirement and you have that question, there's a whole report to help you think through the decision of that. And it's not just a report that tells you, oh, yeah, you should bring your money to us. It's actually a thoughtful report on how to make the decision, because some people are perfectly fine leaving their money where it is when they retire.
Right.
And some people are not fine and they don't want to leave it there, or they have a pension, they're doing a lump sum, and they need to figure out where to put it. And a lot of decisions.
Yeah, and if you know anybody else who's maybe approaching that time in life where they might be retiring, remind them there's great information on the web, and we have on our website, every bit of it is no cost. We don't capture your information.
Right.
If you won't download the report, we're not going to call and bug you. We're not going to call you at midnight with us.
We don't even know who you are.
That's
we
right.
don't track any of it. It doesn't matter. So it's all educational purpose. The other thing I'll say is Randy said he went out and talked to the Exchange Club. We do a lot of that in the community. So if you have a church group or a club, you're looking for a speaker to come and talk just in general about what's going on in the market and the economy, or I have a specific scripted program I have for my life book, which is an estate planning program, about 30 minutes long at least, to cover everything. And then I have another one about Social Security. Mm-hmm. And so those are approved by compliance, and we can go out and we can talk to groups, and we don't charge anything for that.
And I do briefings on cyber and scams.
Yeah, that's your specialty. That's what he came out of the tech world with the military. So anyways, next up, student loan refinancing. So if you have somebody in your family that has expensive student loans, they need to take a look at this, because rates for student loans have dropped to as low as 1.8%. And so, gosh, imagine you're paying 6% and you can pay 1.8%. You're going to save a ton of money. And if you kept your payment the same, you're going to pay the loan off super fast compared to what track you're on now. So the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates 3 times this year, which cuts student loan rates, but it's not going to just lower the rate of the loan you're in. You're going to have to go refinance to get a lower rate. So here's the benefits. Lowering interest rates, a single monthly payment. If you have multiple loans, you could combine them, a fixed or variable interest rate, flexible 5 to 20-year loan repayment terms, one student loan center, service center instead of multiple, pay off your loans faster and save money. And so Clark Howard has a good piece about this on his website, and I'm not going to get into all the details about this. Here are the best candidates. This is important. You have to have a credit score of 650 or higher, current employment or a written job offer, stable recurring monthly income, a low debt to income ratio, and no history of student loan default. So there are different calculators that can help you figure out. One of them was Make Lemonade, which I thought was kind of cute. And there's another one that was on the Clark Howard website that I'm looking here. It says, make sure you make your payments while you're in the process of the loan refi. Student Loan Hero has a calculator that can help you figure out what to do. That's on from the Clark Howard website, who I trust. So if you went to clark.com and you just typed in on the search bar refinance student loan, you'll go to this article and you can click on the link to the calculator, but it's Student Loan Hero. So you can put in your current terms, the new terms, and look at how much money you're going to save and how much faster you're going to pay it off. But this is very good. And he recommends 4 different lenders, online lenders for the refinance, which I think is important. You need to go through, I like going through websites that I trust, and I trust Clark.com because he's very serious about trying to help people and make a difference and do a good job. Anywho, enough about that.
Yep.
So,
you want to talk about the Roth?
The IRS higher limits for retirement plans. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay, so the amount you can contribute to your 401k is going up from $19,000 in 2019 to $19,500 in 2020. The 401k catch-up contribution, if you're 50 or older, will be $6,500. For workplace plans, it's up $500. And IRAs are the amount you can contribute to an IRA stays the same for 2020, $6,000 with a $1,000 catch-up, and that's the same for Roths. Let's see here. During 2018, 13% of employees with retirement plans at work saved the then maximum of $18,500. That's pretty decent.
That's
13% of people doing that, and that's according to Vanguard. It plans. Let me see here. And this applies, the number I gave earlier is not just 401ks, it's also 403bs and 457 plans, and then the thrift saving plan. They're all the same because the law governs all of those the same. SEP IRAs, SEP IRA or a solo 401k goes up from $56,000 a year to $57,000. And let me tell you about something I learned last week. So I have a client who has a business that he runs and owns. It's interesting. He started it when he was in college, and it morphed into his full-time gig that he does. He never dreamed that this is what he would be doing. So he has this business, and he and his wife are also just really aggressive savers. So during the recession, they started buying foreclosures and turning them into rental properties. So now they're like 40, and I can't remember their net worth. It's unbelievable what they're saving and what they have created on top of the income and the cash flow out of nothing. I mean, they just went out and did this stuff and learned how to do it and figured it out and did the work themselves and worked really hard. And so they have these properties that they have flipped into rental properties. And so he emailed me and he said, he's funding his SEP IRA. He maxes it out every year from his business. So he's putting $56,000. Is that what I just said it was? Yeah. He's put $56,000 into his SEP last year because you can put in your SEP about 25% of what you pay yourself. You have to pay yourself out of the business to be able to make these contributions, but he's paying himself enough out of the business to put $56,000 into a SEP.
Good for him.
Well, he's decided to make his business into a corporation and have all the employees become W-2, which means he can't have a SEP anymore. He has to flip over to a simple plan, and the contribution for a simple is $13,000. So that's a lot less than the $56,000. And so it's been really bugging him It's better for the employees because they can save for retirement and all of that stuff, but it's worse for him. And so he emailed me and he said, I've got this business that now will have a simple plan, but I want to be able to contribute to the SEP too. So what if I took my rental property business and I turned that into a separate entity and paid myself out of that and then funded the SEP out of that? And so I emailed a CPA because I've never heard of this, and I didn't imagine the IRS would allow it because of your Social Security number. They usually have caps on what you can do to take money pre-tax and save it because they want you to pay taxes. And the CPA came back and said, absolutely, he can do it. So he will be able to fund his simple IRA out of his current business, and then the new business he will use to generate the cash. It was all running through one entity. And so he'll split it up into two companies now, and the rental property business will fund his SEP IRA, and he can do both. So he could
Very smart.
If he has the cash flow out of the businesses, he could save next year $70,000
Wow.
pre-tax into these investments.
Fantastic.
Is that something?
It is.
I mean, compound that forward 40 years or however long he's going to. I mean, he wouldn't work 40 years. Probably work another 25 years.
At this
but
rate,
imagine at that rate how much he can save. They're like super savers, and they're frugal. They cook. They don't eat out. They work all the time. I mean, and she has a job, so she provides the health insurance for them at a really good rate, and she makes great money. And I was so impressed that he even had the idea, because I didn't even have the idea, because I just assumed the IRS wouldn't allow it. But it's just fantastic. So the faster and earlier you can max out your savings in these plans, the better off you will be in the future. And I just I don't know. I see a lot of people that are saving really well and doing all the right things, and it's really awesome.
And, that's a good segue to this next article. Hey, we
got
a
a phone call. Good morning. You're
morning.
on with Randy and Sherry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you all doing?
We're fantastic.
Great. I wanted to ask, on the Roth IRA, currently the limit for a personal Roth IRA is $7,000 a year. Is that going to be going up?
So it says here, individual retirement accounts stay the same for 2020 at $6,000 with a $1,000 catch-up if you're over 50. So that didn't change.
Well, I'm over 50, so...
Well, then you get to put 7 in.
Yeah.
As long as you have earned income.
Okay. Not going up?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Perhaps later. All right. Thanks.
Hey, have a great day.
Thanks for calling.
Yep. Good deal. Yeah, the more you can contribute. And then I should mention the Georgia 529 plan. A lot of people don't know about it, but it's a way for you to save for college for your grandkids. And they have changed it so now it can even be used for private school. I was talking to our daughter about it. She's in Colorado. And talking about the 529, and in Colorado they only let you use it for higher education, but you can save for your kids to use for private school, although K through 12 with the 529. And you just go to just Google search Georgia 529. Every state has their own program. You have to go through the website to fund it. You can set it up automatic contribution out of your bank account every month or out of your paycheck to go right in there, and then you just pick the date of the plan is the date the kid's going to graduate high school, typically, if it's going to be used for college. And but that's also another good thing.
Well, that article's a good segue to this one. The title is Gen X needs 11 times more in savings for a secure retirement. And, people have to understand there's a big distinction between savings and safety. You may be putting money into savings for your retirement, but you need to understand what the number is for you to have a safe and secure and happy retirement,
Well, in most plans, at a company plan, they're going to have a projection that says based on what you're saving and based on historical earnings in the market and what your investment is that you've chosen, here's what you're going to end up with. And you can look at that and determine whether that's going to work or not.
There are calculators all over the internet that show you the same thing. But this author noted that members of Generation X have only saved $66,000 for their golden years, even though they believe that they will need over $750,000 for a comfortable retirement.
And a Gen X person is between the age of 39 and 54.
Yep.
54 with 66,000 saved is not good.
And millennials have only saved $10,000 for retirement, while Gen Zers have only saved $2,000.
Yeah, but they're so young.
Yeah.
Millennials were born between 81 and 99. They're just getting started.
Yeah. The article says the problem is younger generations are increasingly on the hook to fund their own retirements, but this is not the problem. This is a known quantity. You know you have to be saving because things have changed in how employers fund retirement plans. Most of the time, they just make sure you have the money and go self-fund somewhere. So people need to start taking action, and that's really what the focus of the article was. Is just start by doing something. So start by getting money into an online mutual fund or something, so that you can start having that mentality, that thought process that you are saving money and you're not spending it all the time.
So according to Fidelity, the share of IRAs owned by millennials at the end of the second quarter increased 20% versus the last year, which is a good sign.
Yep.
And I know our kids are focused on paying off debt. I mean, that's where their money's going. They don't have student loan debt, but they've taken on houses and cars and all of this stuff. And that's part of the problem is back when we were young, having kids, we drove used cars. We lived in an old fixer-upper that didn't even have, that first house we bought was basically condemned.
It was, yeah.
And so we had to fix it up before we could there was no electricity. The windows were broken out. The grass in the yard was 6 feet tall. It was a total disaster. Needed a roof, needed all sorts of things. But we bought it, and then we learned how to fix it up, and we worked on it, and then ended up moving into it and still working on it while we were living in it, and made money when we sold it a year later. And so we were willing to go through the pain of living in a dump and turning it into not a dump and making money on it. And a lot of young people didn't grow up with families who did that kind of thing, where you grew up with a dad who fixed stuff. I grew up in a family that fixed and made stuff. I mean, we grew up with that mindset of buy something that's not great and turn it into something that's good and increase your wealth that way. But neither of our daughters talking about wanting to do it now, and they bought Colorado is just a horrible place to have to buy a house. But anyways, it's not all kids can understand the concept of that. They want new car, new house, new clothes. I mean, I was buying my clothes at a consignment shop until I left Consumer Credit Counseling Service in 1999.
It used to be keeping up with the Joneses, man, keeping up with the people in your neighborhood. The next door neighbors.
Oh, now it's worse.
And now it's much, much worse because you
social
got Pinterest,
media,
social media, everything is
posting photos.
Yeah. So everyone's trying to keep up with everyone else or outdo them. And if you got the money to do it, rock on. But if you don't, you need to start thinking long term. That's all I got to say about that.
One last thing.
Yep.
The trends of what we spend on is so fascinating. Just go to the grocery store and walk around and look at what is in people's shopping carts.
Oh, yeah.
Younger people in particular, it's all prepackaged, processed, and these are the same people that worry about global warming, but everything they consume comes out of a plastic bottle or a container. And it's all, I saw this lady, she was about my age, she was rolling through Kroger, and her entire cart was full of frozen dinners and sodas and chips. And she was, normal weight. I don't know how she's doing it. I don't know how she's eating that.
Hey, let's talk about something fun.
Okay,
Let's talk about
subject.
bashing billionaires, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Bashing billionaires is gaining popularity, as we all know, especially among the candidates who want to be president. Elizabeth Warren wants to take up to 6% of their wealth in tax every year. Bernie Sanders says they should not even exist. Every billionaire is a policy failure, so says he, and it's a common left-wing slogan. Left-wingers bashing inequality is nothing new, but the idea of vast personal fortunes are made possible only when the government goes wrong is a more novel and serious idea. It's also misguided, and this comes out of the November 9th Economist.
I was glad to see The Economist put a stake in the ground on this topic.
Me too. Personal wealth is at best an unreliable signal of bad behavior or policy failures. It's often the reverse. While capitalism functions well in competition, competition whittles away profits from some, but also produces profits for others, as an entrepreneur sees market from the sleepy incumbents. Taxes should be levied progressively, but that does not justify limitless redistribution or punitive levies. Mrs. Warren's proposed wealth tax has already doubled since her campaign. We have another article that talks about that because last night they upped it again.
Yep.
Now,
so you're done with that article?
I am. But here's the thing, that we all need to remember, and this is a good article, and it came out of Yahoo Finance.
Can I back up a second?
You can.
There's a piece out of that article you're reading that I really liked. This economist, Thomas Piketty, behind many of the most cited inequality statistics, wants a wealth tax of up to 90% on the richest billionaires. Such expropriation would certainly chill incentives to innovate and to allocate capital efficiently. An economy with fewer entrepreneurs might have fewer billionaires, but would ultimately be less dynamic, leaving everyone worse off.
Absolutely. I'm glad you went back to that one. Now, Rick Newman from Yahoo Finance, he's a senior columnist with them. He wrote a really good article. It says, "Calm down about Elizabeth Warren wrecking the stock market." And we do get questions, about every time the politics come up.
Well, she's affecting the healthcare sector.
She is. I mean, a lot of what she wants to do is under the microscope right now, but it alarms people. But and especially Wall Street. And this article goes on to say, Wall Street is alarmed at the prospect of Elizabeth Warren as the Massachusetts senator rises in the poll. Famed investors such as Leon Cooperman and Paul Jones have been warning that stocks would fall 25% or more if she becomes the Democratic nominee and wins the general election a year from now. Investors should chill out. Warren does have radical plans for euthanizing the private healthcare system, marginalizing fuel fossils, breaking up big tech, shackling the finance industry. She had sharply raised taxes on business and the wealthy to finance as much as $4 trillion per year in new spending on social programs and enriched benefits. But much of what Ms. Warren wants to do would require congressional legislation, and even a fully Democratic Congress would balk at the scope, cost, and disruption inherent in some of Warren's most grandiose plans. Warren could try to impose other policies through regulatory channels and executive power like Trump has, but she'd encounter lawsuits and other forms of pushbacks constraining her ability to act on these radical changes. So it's a good article. And it does make you pause just for a few minutes and make you realize that the sky is not going to fall, at least not immediately.
Here's my favorite part is the last paragraph. As a candidate, Warren can pretend only evil billionaires benefit from a buoyant stock market, but if she's ever president, Warren will have to face the reality of a stock market that punishes bad policies damaging to the economy. Bear markets hammer consumer confidence and sometimes generate recessions, and because of that, they can also shorten political careers. And they act like only billionaires have money in the stock market.
That's right. 55%
the average
of America.
person, yeah.
55% of America owns stocks, whether it's an individual stock or through their mutual fund. They all have stocks. So
next was the Bill Gates article, right?
Yeah, this is great.
So Bill Gates comes out yesterday and he says, I've paid over $10 billion in taxes. I've paid more than anyone in taxes, and I'm glad to, but I'd have to pay $20 billion. That's fine. But he wonders how to figure out what he'd have left. So Gates boasts a net worth of $106.8 billion. So we had to figure out, under Elizabeth Warren, what would Bill Gates have to pay? So he's a one percenter. And so they want, let me see here. There are more than 600 billionaires in the U.S., with more than 40% of them residing in California and New York. And so Gates would have to pay $6.4 billion, and this is just a wealth tax. Mm-hmm. This is her wealth tax, and I'm trying to find it's 2%. A 2% annual levy on household with a wealth over $50 million, and an additional 1% tax on wealth over $1 billion. So we had to figure out what would he pay, because he's worth $6.4 billion. Now, I gather this is not capital gains and all that. This is just your wealth.
Your wealth.
This is what you're worth. They want 2% if you're worth over $50 million, and an extra 1% if you're over $1 billion. In valuation. Well, he's at $6.4 billion, and so Randy did the math. He would have to sell 60 million shares of Microsoft, which would generate $8.7 billion. However, when you sell shares of stock, you also have to pay capital gains on the growth of the gain of whatever the stock value went up, which God knows how long he's had the stock.
Right.
And so this is a real shot in the dark.
I think it was an extra $17 billion in taxes.
$2.5 billion, but that's on the low end,
yeah,
because we don't know the actual capital gain of his stock, and he would have to sell the least appreciated shares first, because then he would pay the lower capital gain price. So he'd end up, if he sold $8.7 billion worth of Microsoft, That would pay $2.5 billion in capital gains at least, and that would end him up with $6.4 billion to pay the wealth tax for a total of $9 billion in 1 year.
Right.
And this is of his wealth. This is not cash flow, salary.
And
this is nothing.
And the next year they'd want to do the exact same thing all over again.
And Jeff Bezos is even worse off because he's worth $6.7 billion even after going through a divorce.
No, Sherry, he's worth. Let's see here. Bill Gates is worth $106 billion.
Why am I getting the $6.4 billion?
That was
that was the tax I was figuring out. That's right. So Gates is worth $106 billion, and Bezos is worth.
It didn't give the number. It's just more.
More.
So, and Jamie Dimon has accused Elizabeth Warren of vilifying successful people. He's the latest.
He's worth $1.6 billion.
Yeah, he's the latest Wall Street executive to criticize her and the attack on big business and the ultra wealthy. During an interview with CNBC, Dimon, who's worth $1.6 billion, said that Warren, a front runner for the Democratic National, I've already said that, uses the pretty harsh words against billionaires and Wall Street. Some say that she vilifies successful people, and he says, "I don't like vilifying anybody. I think we should applaud successful people." The Massachusetts senator frequently rails against the ultra-wealthy and proposed wealth tax to fund a number of sweeping plans to include Medicare for all, canceling student loan debt for the majority of Americans, and providing universal child care. And tomorrow to be another good idea, right? Including a 6% levy on fortunes worth more than $1 billion.
See, that's bigger than what I just read in the other article.
Well,
the last one said 1%.
Well, they keep changing their number. While Dimon previously said that he supports a progressive income tax structure and higher taxes on the wealthy, he warned that Warren's proposed Accountable Capitalism Act would change the complete nature of how you run a corporation. The act, included in April, would make it easier to criminally charge and jail corporate executives for alleged abuses by their companies. The proposal pushes an additional oversight on Wall Street by expanding criminal liabilities to any corporate executive who oversees a company that ultimately causes severe and widespread harm to families.
What does that even mean?
I think she's pointing to the 2008 financial crisis, which was caused by the government. So,
easy housing policies, Bill Clinton.
Everyone has to own a home.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has the right to own a home, and so everybody runs out and gets a home even though they can't afford the mortgage, and you have all these reduced interest and tax abatement and all this stuff to squeeze all these people in these houses, and it didn't go very well.
Yep. Warren said in a tweet that Dimon and his buddies are successful because of opportunities, workforce, and public service that we all paid for, and therefore he should pay more in taxes. You know, it's funny. Those same opportunities, workforce, and public services are available to everyone. Every person out there. So anyway, enough of that one.
So, but in this one, this was printed on November 7th, and it said a 1% tax on wealth above $1 billion. This one was just printed the same day, and it says a 6% tax on $1 billion. We haven't even done the math on that one.
Okay, Sherry.
I'm getting bogged down.
Go back to the truth about income. Go to the next article, truth about income equality, because we've got about 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a really great article. So never in American history has a debate over income inequality so dominated the public square, with Democratic presidential candidates and congressional leaders calling for massive tax increases and federal expenditures to redistribute the nation's income. Unfortunately, official measures of income inequality, the number being debated, are profoundly distorted. The published census data for 2017 portray the top quintile of households as having almost 17 times as much income as the bottom, but this picture is false. The measure fails to account for the 1/3 of all households' income paid in federal, state, and local taxes. So they don't count the taxes those people pay, and they also fail to count the $1.9 trillion in annual public transfer payments to American households. 95 federal programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps, which make up more than 40% of federal spending, along with dozens of state and local programs. Government transfers provide 89% of all resources available to the bottom income quintile of households, and more than half of the total. So the bottom line is, somebody who's making middle income wages is getting the same amount of money as someone who doesn't and gets all these benefits. It's just, and we're running out of time. It says
you got 2 minutes. Go ahead. There's some good.
So
data.
The average bottom quintile household earns only $4,908, but by the time you add all of their benefits, they're actually getting $45,000 in government transfers. So they're actually making the same as somebody who works for a modest wage. And this goes on and on and on about this.
But the thing is that there was a 60-to-1 when you take a look at it before the transfers and the taxes that are paid. But after they take a look at the transfers and the taxes that people pay and the transfers that people receive, it's more like 3.8 to 1.
Yes. So when you hear this income inequality thing, you need to reset your brain and not believe the garbage that they're telling you, because it's not the truth.
Because a lot of income is already being redistributed, and people are living way above the poverty level on government subsidies.
Yes. So anyways, was that a 1 minute?
1 minute finger.
Okay. So you've been listening to Your Money on News Talk 940 WMAC, and this is Randy and Sherry Goss. Steve Rosenberg owns our firm, Rosenberg Financial Group. We have offices in Macon and Warner Robins, and we are fee-based money managers, and we provide complimentary consultations, which is absolutely true. You can call the office, make an appointment with Steve or myself. We'll meet with you for an hour and talk through retirement plans, your estate plans, whatever it is that's bothering you and that's worrying you. I see a lot of widows who are blown out of their water when their husband passes unexpectedly, and they're trying to just get their head around what they should do. I don't charge anything. We don't follow up with people who come in and see us. We're just there to help you. Seriously, go to our website, retirerelax.com. Take a look at the special reports, and if you want to start getting your affairs in order, click on My Life Book, and you can print out all the pages and fill in the blanks, and you'll have it all done. Anyways.
Get out and enjoy the weekend.
Yay, have a good one.
The views expressed on this show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.